Hey there, welcome back to the Accelerated Financial Advisor podcast, where we interview real world advisors who are seeking ways to raise their AUM and navigate a quickly changing world of marketing and client acquisition. This podcast is brought to you by Phantom Growth. Phantom Growth partners with financial advisors to help them go from relying on referrals and word of mouth to having a more predictable pipeline of qualified buyers without requiring a large sales team or massive ad spend. This podcast gives us the opportunity to learn from advisors in the space and better understand the day-to-day problems that they face so that we can better create solutions to increase predictable client pipelines and help advisors as best as we can. If you would like to learn more, you can visit us at phantomgrowth.com. Today we have an incredible guest here with us. We have Jessica Weaver, who I'm super excited about interviewing. She is a TV show host, a wealth advisor, and founder of The Wealth Boutique. She is a 5-time best-selling author, TV show host, host of a financial Trendsetters Gala that raises money for scholarships with awards given to young women studying finance. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you so much for having me on, Austin. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm so happy to have you here. It's an honor. I'm really excited to just get your perspective, as you have a lot of really cool insights and you've gone through a unique journey in getting to where you are. So maybe give our listeners an overview of yourself, kind of your background and how you came to be a financial advisor.
Sure. I always tell people I was born into this. My father has been an advisor for about 40 years. So since I was born, he's been in the financial industry on the insurance side, then more on the assets under management side since then. So I remember sitting on my carpet in the family room, stuffing envelopes for cold mailers out to people, and then working summers in his office, doing some filing, some fun things. Then in college, I did a few internships to see different aspects of the industry because there's so many different ways you can grow in this world of finance. And then I also started to get licensed during college as well. So I kind of knew I wanted to be in this industry, just trying to figure out where am I going to make my mark. I did join his firm in 2010 at the same time as my older brother. We really grew the firm as a team. We did a lot of seminars about retirement planning to grow our book of business. But I always felt this pull to wanting to help more women. And I saw it with different women in my family and then different clients that I was drawn to and they were drawn to me, women going through a divorce or going through losing their spouse or young career-driven women even. And so a few years in, I begged my father, can I do a women's event? And that's kind of what started the ball rolling. Was I did a women in transition event, and we had mimosas, we had a chocolate tasting, we had a ton of women from a divorce support group come, which was a great avenue to go in and explore. After that, we did like a yoga event. We did a markets and martinis party. It was right before one of the elections. And then I started my blog, Not Your Father's Advisor, because I could see the traction coming and women wanting to learn more about finances, but not knowing where to go to get the information and to get the information in a way that they could take it in and receive it.
I'm curious, was there any kickback from your dad in this? Did he kind of say, like, what are you doing? We don't do this?
You approve the blog, Not Your Father's Advisor. It was tricky with compliance, though. Is the blog an outside business activity or is this under the realm of being an advisor? And depending on who you spoke with, it was different each time we would talk about it. So at first, I would run all the blog posts through compliance. I was well known in the compliance department. They really liked the blogs, especially one about my grandmother and her ex-husband. That story's in my first book. So from the blog, then came my first book, Strong Woman, Stronger Assets. That was in 2017. So I found out I was pregnant, and the next day, the book had been on my mind. I'm like, what a better time to talk about legacy and writing a book, which is the biggest mark of having a legacy. It's having a book out there than when I'm pregnant. So I got the book done. I convinced my husband I will get it done before the baby comes. I did. The book came. I had a huge book signing at Barnes& Noble, 7, 8 months pregnant in the summer. My belly was huge. I had to, I was chugging water as I was giving this big presentation, this big talk to all the women in the room. It was a blast though. And that started my next book, Time to Refine, and then Confessions of a Money Queen, which was more on the spiritual side of money for it. And I just fell in love with one, storytelling and the book writing process. It's interesting now when you think of building that relationship with prospects and with clients, it takes them 7 hours of spending time with you for them to become a client. So you can look at that off and say, well, that's 7 1-hour meetings. Most advisors are like, I don't have time to do 7 1-hour meetings for them to get to know me and build trust in a relationship.
100%. Yeah.
Or you can do things like you're doing and you have a podcast and they're going to listen to you. And after a few episodes, they really know who you are. They get a feel for you, what you're about, and the trust is being built. Similar to a book, I can have women spend hours with me in a vulnerable place where they might be crying or they're trying to pick up the pieces of their life. They could be reading me on the beach, on vacation, and they could be reading me thinking about divorce, but never having said it out loud to anybody. And the book is the first little action step for them to explore what that could look like. So to be
Yeah.
able to get
And a
into the
chance for you
head,
to stay top of mind in everything.
yeah,
You don't even have to be there. You're just in their mind as they're reading on the beach.
yes. And you never know when they're going to become a client. I still have ones from my
Yeah.
first book signings from my first book 5 years later, 6 7 years later, coming out and wanting to become clients. So it's cool you don't know who's talking about you, who's reading you, and they also know so much about your life and they come to you and they're like a stranger, but they already feel like you've become friends with them. So it's a way to not like skip ahead, but to foster relationships in a very leveraged and strategic, but heart led way, I would say.
Yeah,
So the
for
part of
sure. So
the
you,
journey through these books was realizing I need to find the right home to be able to keep exploring these things that we wanted to do, from more books, more magazines. We now have a magazine that comes out each year, to our TV show, Women Behind the Millions. So the typical broker dealer structure wasn't going to work. So in 2022, opened up the Wealth Boutique, which is a female focused RIA. We have women in 6 different states. We are a nationwide firm. We bring on a few advisors each year in a different respective state, and most of them focus on women, but different stages of their life, whether it's divorce or those women working the corporate ladder, women who are focused on their legacy and breaking multi-generational patterns and trauma for it too. So it's become incredible to see all these different women stepping into this mission and becoming a thought leader to really spark and ignite change in their respective communities.
so cool. That's got to feel so rewarding.
I love what I do. It's amazing. It's the best when we are all in
Yeah.
the same room together and you have that in person energy, which we're coming up in May. We do a big annual event, our annual gala that you mentioned before. We raise money for scholarships. We get interns to come, younger women in the industry or curious about the industry to come. So it's been amazing for one, women to feel heard and validated in our industry, because it doesn't often happen. And then for the
Yeah.
ripple effect for just women who want to build wealth to also feel heard, validated, and like they belong.
Totally. No, and I feel like they would totally resonate with you, and you've leveraged your talents and skills to attract, someone who is naturally drawn to you. So I think that's a really hard thing to do. And a lot of people kind of need to do this more. They need to reassess this inner dialogue that they have and figure out who they enjoy working with and who they best help. So I think that's a really interesting insight there. And what kind of led you to that? And how do you even niche down a little bit further within women? Do you guys kind of differentiate yourselves there in any way?
Yes. Yes. Like I love working with single corporate women nearing retirement. These women are my jam. I love the retirement phase, the planning, the strategies, the taxes. I love all of that, especially helping women who they might not have had a family. So their career is their identity. And now they're shifting from that identity to not having one. And also, if I run out of money, it's all on me. So there's a lot of fears, a lot of changes going on in their life. And I love being that person they could
Yeah.
lean on to navigate it, get a solid plan in place, but then also think like, there's this huge opportunity in retirement to kind of recreate who am I? How do I want to live? How do I want to impact my own communities as well for it? And then I also work with a lot of millennial working moms, similar to me. Probably just that's the stage I'm
Mhm.
at where they are managing the household finances, their own finances, their future, and there's so much on their plate right now. So how can they streamline things? How can they pass things off to me, our team as well? And then some advisors, like I said, Donna does a lot with divorce. We have 3 certified divorce financial analysts on the team. I'm one of them as well. We have Veronica who loves legacy. We have Amanda in South Carolina who loves Medicare and Social Security. So she helps not necessarily just women, but she works with a lot of couples going through that. And it's a very complex world for them. She used to work in hospice. So it's neat when we can take their past experiences and that just builds trust, a lot of credibility, can position themselves as that expert thought leader to navigate it. Donna, who used to do Mary Kay, the cosmetics,
Oh
door to
yeah.
door,
Yeah.
and then couple that with she used to be work with budgeting in the army, the military. So very two, you got the sales on the Mary Kay side, you have the analytical budgeting side as well. Marry that together and it makes a really strong advisor of,
So
allowing
cool.
women to see a different side of themselves, not being scared to put yourself out there, bringing women together for two, and then teaching budgets as
Yeah.
well.
Well, it's interesting everything that you're mentioning here. You seem like you know the end outcome for all of your clients. And you might not be aware of this, but you've even just been mentioning it right there. And I feel that one thing we talk about on the podcast is a lot of advisors don't focus on that end outcome for their clients. They focus on the how and they focus on the nitty gritty and use jargon that most people have no idea what they're talking about. And so, do you mind touching on that for a little bit? Kind of.
I think women in general are more long-term planning focused. So naturally, and we tend to be more of a planner, just gender-wise. And I learned this from a parenting coach who
Yeah.
said, really, why does a lot of the stuff fall on the moms versus the dads? And they said, well, the moms are looking 6 months out. So of course they're going to be the ones to sign up for soccer or to do the school forms because they're thinking 6 months out, what do we need to do? Versus the dads are like, I'll take them to basketball practice tonight. They'll handle that stuff too. So
Yeah.
keeping women, and it's interesting, especially with women, we don't tend to think about ourselves. So the first conversation we have with women is like, what are your goals? Which seem simple question, hard to answer for them. So we have to weed out all the distractions, all the pressure, all the to-do lists to think 1 year out, where do they want to see themselves? 5, 10 years out, where do they want to see themselves? And then going even further of what do you want to see for your children? Do you want them to be at a better place than you were at your age right now? How can you help them, but still give them the tools, the values and morals around money as well? So balancing those for it too. So we have to set goals. We have to then chunk down those goals into little bite-sized pieces because you give a woman a to-do list and they will run with it. They love that. They love having and checking things off their box. So I think focusing more on the planning side of it, setting goals, and then the accountability is huge for those regular check-ins. Most of the time, they
Yeah.
don't care about what's happening with their accounts or the markets. Right now, the markets are all over the place. They want to know, am I okay for that goal that we set years ago or that we set last year? Am I still on track to buy that house? Am I still on track to retire? If this comes back or if it doesn't come back for it. So
Yeah.
it's good to lean in towards those conversations more than I would say the performance driven stuff.
Where do you feel like you'd be right now if you hadn't identified this ICP of women who you now are catering everything towards? It seems like you know them in and out, which is crucial and helps you to be super effective. Where do you feel like you'd be had you not done that?
That's a great question. I would say that we would look like every other advisor out there who's just using the pre-approved materials that we spoke about before,
Yeah.
Austin. And I said that going back to doing things like a podcast, a TV show, books, and those are attainable to anybody. You just have to put the effort into them. You don't have to wait till you hit a certain amount of assets under management or so many followers or views on YouTube or Instagram. You can do that at any point. You just have to make it a priority and a focus and set the time aside and the budget aside. And you should have a marketing budget no matter what right? We spend thousands of dollars with marketing. I mean, we created a whole marketing company, Pink Fix Productions, a whole productions company, just because that's the need today. But the great piece of that is you are
Very
constantly
cool.
talking to your ideal audience and finding out their pain points and what their desires are. So for my first book, I interviewed 50 women, and I still think of those women and their stories and what they needed. And it might change and evolve over time, but not a lot. It's still going to be the core of it. And what's great is then you repurpose that
Yeah.
into your social media marketing, your email marketing, your newsletter, the events, and then you have a flow to yourself, right? That's that brand. People can recognize your content right away. They can recognize you right away. They come to an event, they know it's yours. It's not like this culture shock to them, and that builds trust. When you consistently show up, talk about the same things. Could you imagine, Austin, if you were watching an advisor and every day they talked about somebody different? You're like, I don't even know how this person helps, who this person helps. I'm confused. Am I ideal? Am I not ideal? But when you can speak to your sweet spot every day on different platforms, the right people are going to show up. You don't want to be a jack of all trades. You want to be focused on that niche. It's so important for it. So yeah, I think it's great doing things like this because you're getting that information from people, and that's only allowing you to build more content out there and to repurpose it too.
Yeah. I feel like it requires a certain amount of bravery, and I'm sure a lot of people who would be listening to this would say, no one wants to see my ugly mug. No one wants to have me in front of it. Every doubt that we tend to have about ourselves when we put content out there, it's a vulnerable thing. How have you been able to do that and kind of step away from the fear?
It is, especially writing a book, when it's out there on paper, it can feel very,
Yeah.
very vulnerable. And it takes, as Brene Brown says, a very brave person to be vulnerable. But if we ask that of our clients to be vulnerable and share with us what's really going on, and to me, that's the only way you can really help them is if they are open and honest, then we have to do the same or two. But it's also like a muscle, right? So the more that you practice that muscle, the more you flex. My first video on Facebook was horrendous. You could probably barely hear me. I was pregnant, right? You could feel it on my face. Like there's so many reasons I should not have posted that video, but you need to get it out there, right? And I got a lead to a radio station from that video. So even if you get 5 views and five
Wow.
likes, that's 5 new people in your world that you can touch base with. So again, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how many years of the industry you've been in. If you have something to say, find your platform. And the more you practice it, the more you get on podcasts and shows, you're just going to get stronger and stronger. So this is me probably 6, 7 years in of being on podcasts, TV shows, and speaking on stages in front of hundreds of people, being flown around the states to speak, having my own TV show, having a syndicated show. Our show's going to be now on Forbes TV.
So cool.
It's the practicing, and like it doesn't matter how bad you are in the beginning. You got to dare to suck. You got to go for it
Yeah.
and get it
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
hard. It's so tough. Well, I agree because if you're constantly living in a referral based model, then you don't need to do this. You don't need to put yourself out there. But it's like if you want to grow and you want to scale your business to be something like yours that has evolved and you're now writing books and you're becoming a public figure, then you kind of do. You have to put it out there. So I think it also comes with assessing people's goals and being like, do I want to build this business? Do I want to be up to date? Do I want to market in a way that's going to attract as many people as possible? Because referrals can only be relied on for so long, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's good just to have a healthy mix of different marketing strategies. Referrals, you get referrals, that's great. Are they
Yeah.
all qualified referrals? Is the one thing I'd ask. And asking for referrals is a pretty intimidating thing too. So if you can do that, you can do these other
Yeah.
things as well, or maybe get somebody else on your team who is more comfortable in front of the camera out there and recording things, posting on social media. If it's not your forte, that's great. It's not how, it's who. Find the right
Yeah.
person to be the vocal person out there getting word out. So we like to do a mix of short-term focus marketing activities like seminars, events, in person is always great, referrals, and then all of our books, social media, right? And to me, it's a mixture of planting the seed and nurturing the seed. So a lot of times the books, the TV show, podcasting, that's nurturing those seeds until they're ready to be harvested and reaped. And you need
Yeah.
those. Otherwise, they're going to find another person when the time is right to work with them. So make
Yeah.
sure you're focusing on the bottom part of the triangle of all those people who they know they need help, but they're just sitting on that action step because eventually they will come over. And you want them to come to you since you planted the seed, not finding
Yeah.
some other Joe Schmo advisor to work with.
So true. Well, we talk about cold leads and warm leads, and I would imagine that most of the people who are coming through for you are pretty hot, warm leads, and likely because they know you, you've already been able to build up trust over a period of time. And like you said, if they're not spending close to 7 hours now, it's the 7 ratio. It's difficult to really get them in. And I'm sure your calls with them to transition them to clients are probably a quarter, if not an eighth of the time that a lot of these other advisors have to spend because they're like, Jessica, hi, like honored to meet you. And it like flips the tables, right? And you're like, why would you want to work with us? Is that how it's kind of been for you with kind of taking this approach?
I would say sometimes they're like, I know I'm too small to work with you. I'm like, no, that's not what we're about at all. We like to look at, are
Yeah.
you going to be a good engaged? We would just want engaged clients, right? Are you going to be engaged? Are you going to do what we recommend to do, right? And not push back, question back, or just fall off the face of the earth and go MIA. I say, if they've read a book, by the time they reach out to us, it's already in their mind that they're going to work with you with it. I will say we get the one-offs from social media, and they might have just found us on social media. And I would say those are still kind of cold. But if they've been following you, and they'll put it in the submission form, I've been following Jessica for a while on social media, they're pretty warm, which is the ideal. So don't get mad when people don't take action right away from social media. Because by the time they are warm, it's going to be a much easier conversation and transition. Keep posting. We're weird because you just never know when they will reach out to you. So don't get discouraged if nobody comes the first month or two of social media. It's a long-term marketing strategy. Put the time and the work in, and don't get mad at the people who are raving fans. You need raving fans too, because they're going to like, comment, share,
Yeah.
talk about you. They might become a huge referral source just because they love what you do online. Yeah.
For sure. Wow, that is so insightful. And I could go in another hour. I want to ask you about your TV show too and like how you got into that space. Can you give us a quick overview before you have to run?
Sure. This is probably something that, we've been manifesting it, we've been calling it in for a while. And then the stars aligned from, networking calls and finding the right platform. Our show's right now on E360. We have two shows there that we produce through Pink Fix Productions. Ours, Women Behind the Millions, and then Care Conversations is Amanda Stillwell's show, too, which is focusing more on that long-term care, Social Security, Medicare side of things. And we were picked out of hundreds of hosts, one of four, to move into
Wow.
syndication. So next week we were filming about 6 in-person episodes because they want more of that in-person feel versus that video podcasting vibe. And then at our event in May, we're going to record more of them with a panel on stage too. So it's been an
Oh,
amazing
cool.
journey. We can't wait to get this information out to, it's going to be 90 million people in total from all the streaming networks and channels. And then hope maybe one day Netflix. Throw that out
That
there. That's
is
the next
so
step.
cool. Manifest it. You got to manifest it.
We're calling it in. Netflix, Hulu. I
Calling it
won't be
in.
picky. Any of those. We'll be on Roku. We
Yeah.
are on Roku right now too. Samsung, iOS, on what are we on? Amazon Prime. So we're on a few different
That is
things.
so
Oh,
cool.
Amazon Fire. Sorry, Amazon Fire.
Oh my gosh. That's amazing. You have so much good momentum going on. It's so fun to like see someone who's doing it and succeeding, and I know it brings a lot of hope and maybe a little bit of overwhelm to some advisors out there as well saying, "Oh man, how can I get to where Jessica is today?" So
Oh,
what would
I'm
be kind of your
overwhelmed.
last thoughts? What would you say?
Yeah, I'm overwhelmed at times too. But just trust each step is getting you closer and closer and taking time to look back and reflect on it and enjoy the whole process of it because you're always going to meet with somebody who is where you want to get to or has the assets
Yeah.
under management that you want to strive to, but everybody has their own journey. And we got to go through it, right? We can't just trade places with somebody else. We have to go through it, and each time you're going to expand and grow, and you need that expansion to hit that next level that you want to get to. So
Yeah.
and pace yourself too. We don't want burnout. Team is huge. I can't do anything without my team. Two teams at the Wealth Boutique and then Pink Fix Productions. Advisors are bad at this. I was bad at this, delegating and hiring. are really important if you want that kind of
Yeah.
growth.
It's a hard jump. It's a tough jump. I've been there in my agency as well. And it's scary because you're saying I'm giving money away in hopes that people give us more. And it's scary. You feel like there's a scarcity mindset and there's an abundance mindset. And I think that where we kind of place our mind is what we reap. Like you're saying, manifesting. And if you got that abundance mindset of we're going to get on Netflix, like your chances are way higher than if you had said, oh man, we can't do this. I don't know if we have enough resources. I don't know if we have enough of this. It sounds like you're like, let's do it. We can do it. We can figure it out.
Yeah, we're
I
very
love
much
that.
like we'll jump off the cliff and then figure out the parachute on the way down.
Yeah. I love it.
Testing, figuring out, and then going. That's
Yeah.
just my personality type. I am a trial and error learner, but it's fun. You just never know what's going to happen.
So
The
cool.
opportunities that come your way. Very true. So just
Yeah,
be
for
flexible,
sure.
be open and
Well, it sounds like
flexible.
you have a lot of great momentum going on right now. Out of curiosity, if you had a magic wand right now and could fix one thing in your business today that is, a difficult place or how you would scale things, what would you say? Where do you want to be?
Good question. If I could wave a magic wand, I'm gonna have to think about that one, Austin. Let me see if anything comes to mind real quick so we don't keep the listeners on the edge of their seats, this cliffhanger.
You're good. They're racking their minds too.
Yes, I think we could always do better at creating a space of trust. And how are we approaching the clients? Like always looking at, are we be giving them the time, the space that they need to feel heard, to feel validated while still moving them along the path. And now that we've been bringing advisors in, for me, being able to do the same with the advisors so that they feel that they belong and this is a really solid home, not just for an in between period of time, but where they can really grow and flourish with it too. And for our advisors to trust themselves. You probably see this a lot too, Austin, right? We second guess ourselves. We're very critical. We got that shiny new object syndrome where one advisor's doing that, I should do that, and trying to do a million things at once versus keeping it simple and really focusing on right, niche marketing. Who do I love to work with? Where are they showing up? Let me show up there too and get the conversation going with them as well. So I
Yeah,
would say a lot of it revolves around trust.
so cool. Well, I really appreciate you jumping on here and sharing your insights. You have been amazing and given some really, really cool topics of conversation for me to even think about. So I really appreciate you taking your time. I'd love for our listeners to know too, where could they go to learn more about you and your services and maybe seek some inspiration as well as what a boss woman's doing out there in the space.
You can go to at pinkfixmymoney.com. So it's PINKFIX, my money. Sorry, Pinkfix My Money is our Instagram handle. And then we have pinkfixproductions.com and thewealthboutique.com as well. But Instagram's going to see where you see all the live upcoming fun things that we have going on.
Amazing. So great. Well, thank you so much, Jessica, for being our guest here today and taking the time out of your day to share some of your thoughts. It's been super helpful.
Thank you so much, Austin, for having me on. It's been a pleasure. It's been a blast. Thank you.
Pleasure's been ours. Thank you, Jessica.